Puzzle of Fungi, Funghi Explosion. This is a game that was from the Touch Detective developer, or publisher at least, so I believe Success is the company's name, and recently there actually was a Touch Detective port to the Switch, but it's Japan only at the moment. But this was I believe a 3DS game, or maybe a mobile game initially, and eventually it got ported over to the Switch, and that's the version that I have, and it features the little fungus guy. I don't know why, but this little fungus guy got really popular, and he has a ton of games, even though he's like a side character in the Touch Detective games. And it definitely has kind of the fun little quips that come with a Touch Detective game. Like every time you finish a board or something like that, the game will have the little fungus pop up and he'll be like, oh, the most important documents burn the brightest, or something like that. It's just like a little one-liners basically. But otherwise, the game more or less is just kind of like a Bejeweled clone, maybe. I'm not that familiar with Bejeweled, honestly, but basically the idea with this game is you have a bunch of different types of fungus on the stage. They're like little icons. And each of those fungus, if you combine 3 of them together in a line, it'll basically make them disappear, and then, it drops down, or drops up in this case, and then more fungus comes in from the bottom of the screen. And so you can do chains and things like that. But more importantly, probably, is that you can also do additional patterns where you use 4 fungus of the same type. And if you put them in a line, it clears the entire row or column. Or if you put them in a square, it clears out a section around those 4 fungus kind of thing. So it basically has you just trying to combo that together to get like really a high score kind of thing. And there's also like a time limit. So the longer you go without, combining or harvesting fungi, I think is what they call it, your timer runs down. And if you run out of time, you get a game over essentially. So you're basically battling the clock rather than so much of like battling like a Tetris style screen that like builds up to the top. You can end up in like stalemate situations actually, and that will basically clear your entire board sometimes. So there is like a hint system, which is pretty nice as somebody who doesn't know a lot about these kind of games and how they work. Like being in a situation where you can't read the board very well and you're having a hard time finding matches and your timer's running out, basically you have like, I'd say about 3 to 5 hints. It seems like there's like a way for you can earn them back, although I don't think the game ever really said it outright of how you could get it back. But if you're playing, it seems like you steadily get hints back, either by time or maybe based on score or something like that. It's a pretty challenging game for me, at least. I am pretty terrible at games like this, so I really can't say for certain if this is a good puzzle game or not in a lot of ways, because I'm just not good at puzzle games. So I don't have any real experiences beyond I invested maybe like 20 or so hours into a game called Money Idol Exchanger once. But I do enjoy them from time to time, but I really can only just enjoy them on the surface level, which actually makes one part of this game a little challenging for me personally, and that is just the lack of modes. I think it was a download title initially. I got a physical copy, so maybe it's not too surprising that it's pretty light on content. Basically, there's 4 modes. One is a beginner's mode, and that's basically just like a tutorial mode, essentially. It's just a way for you to kind of get used to the game in a space while not necessarily going through a direct tutorial kind of thing. I think there's an actual tutorial when you launch it up, but the beginner's mode is a way for you to get comfortable with the game. Then there's the standard mode, and that's just kind of the standard game. I usually could get around to stage 5 or 6 before I would fall out. Again, I'm not particularly good at these games, so maybe that's super early on. I don't know. I played for multiple hours, and I did get slightly better, but never got quite further than stage 5 on average kind of thing. And then there's a IQ mode, and the IQ mode is basically a mode where they kind of ask you to hone your skills in a lot of ways. So they're like, hey, make a 4 row clears kind of thing, or make 4 column clears, or things like that, or collect 15 of this particular type of fungus, or 15 of this fungus, only 3 of this fungus, and kind of thing. So they basically ask you to do various challenges, and depending on how quickly you do those challenges, they give you a nice Q score, kind of like in a brain age kind of fashion kind of thing. You get little bits of dialogue between the main girl from Touch Detective and the butler in Touch Detective. They kind of have a little bit of back and forth talking, but it's very, very light. Like I said, it's not a lot of dialogue or anything like that. It basically just changes depending on, how high you score. If you get negative IQ, he kind of berates you. If you get positive IQ, they praise you kind of thing. And I think I got to the point where they basically were like, you did okay. And that was the best I ever did. One thing that is kind of weird though is other than that one bar of in the IQ mode of you did okay, there's not a lot to rate yourself against. because if you go to the scoreboard without like making a save file or anything, the scoreboard's completely empty. Like, they don't even have developer scores on there or like fake scores to aim for, anything like that. It is just a completely blank scoreboard. So it is all completely populated by your own scores, which is kind of bizarre. So, and there's like a versus mode as well. And I didn't get to play the versus mode, but I did pop it open for a little bit just to kind of look. And you basically get to choose between like 4 different girls from the Touch Detective series. And you basically send, I think it's called like mold back and forth. And that like determines their ability to, I think, clear out their screen. Like, I think that the mold will cover up different fungus and things like that. So like you can't see the screen and things like that. So I didn't play that mode, but there's some kind of versus mode here at the special rule set. So there's something with that at the very least. So I played it for maybe around like 5 to 10 hours. And, you know, I can't say I loved my time with it, but I wouldn't say I hated it either. So again, I'm pretty light on this stuff. If you're a casual puzzle game fan, I'd say it's probably not the greatest investment you could make. But I generally thought it was a fun game to play at the very least. I don't think you'll be disappointed if you do pick it up and just expect the minimum of, yes, I'm going to be basically putting blocks together and they'll disappear kind of thing. But I'm sure there's many more puzzle games that are significantly better. But I just personally don't have that experience. So, but again, very casual puzzle game fan here. So maybe it's the best puzzle game in the world and there's a secret scene that I'm not aware of that everybody's like battling out on the Puzzle of Funghi Explosion leaderboard somewhere. So